What happens to angels who fell after the fall of Lucifer? That is a question that I had concerning Genesis 6. Now, I will tell you up front that the war in heaven and a third of the angels falling did not occur all at once. And the first fall, most people know, they said the fall of Lucifer, a rebellion, and it caused a lot of angels to fall. But there are instances after the fall of Lucifer that does happen. And we see one example in Genesis 6. And it says here, when human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born unto them, the sons of God, the angels, saw the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them who they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of men and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. The majority of scholars and teachers in the Bible say that these are not men that came down from heaven and mated with women. Most scholars will agree that the sons of gods are angels, because it refers to sons of gods all throughout the Bible as these angelic beings, right? And so at some point in time, and that's why they call Genesis 6 watchers, because these angels, when you really get into the story, and the only way you're going to do that is go to an original book of the Bible, and which is the book of Enoch, the first book of Enoch, goes in the depth and detail of what actually took place. And they fell because they saw the women. And a man and a woman do not produce Nephilim. In this writing, obviously the point is that something else mated with these women that created Nephilim. Nephilim doesn't necessarily have to mean that they are angel and human. It could actually also to mean angel and animal. We know from the book of Giants that was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it details one of the acts that some of the angels did. And of course we know that there are animal angels in heaven. According to the Bible, there's all different types of angels, right? Not just angels that look like men, but there are angels that look like animals. There are angels that have 3 faces and 3 heads and all this, right? So there's a lot out there that God has created. And there's been no other time in the Bible where humans mated with other humans that created giants. Now, humans can get pretty big, but my point of this is that it doesn't say here, except for in the book of Jude, what these angels' punishment was. Now, one of the things I did want to point out, especially in the book of Enoch, Jude mentions Enoch. He says, Enoch, the 7th from Adam, prophesied about them. See, the Lord is coming with thousands upon thousands of his holy ones to judge everyone and to convict them of all ungodly acts they have committed in their ungodliness. And all who are defiant words and godly sinners have spoken against him. So I wanted to point that out. That quote is actually taken out of the book of Enoch, right? So obviously Jude was reading the book of Enoch, and that's why I say, as a Christian, I want to know everything. I want to know all the available information that I have, because that's going to help me grow into the knowledge of who I am as a human being, who I am in Jesus Christ, and who I am in God the Father and the Holy Spirit. Now here it says what Jude says about the angels. And he says the angels who did not keep their positions of authority, right? He's talking about Genesis 6 angels, but abandoned their proper dwelling, that means going from heaven to earth, right? And mating with the women. These he kept in darkness and bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day. All right, so he talks about the angels who did not keep their positions of authority in their proper dwelling. So these angels were in the heavenly realm. They came down to the physical realm. They were supposed to be, when you get into the book of Enoch, they were supposed to be teaching them things, and then they began to fall for the women, and then they began to teach them things like war and how to make swords and and arrows and all kind of things, right? And they learned about metals and diamonds and gold and all of that. And so when they fell with the women, they had the Nephilim, and then of course the children that became enemies of God's people. These angels, and their punishment was, according to what here says in the book of Jude, that these were kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains. So these particular group of angels are currently bound. Now, there is some debate, according to the book of Revelation, that some of these angels might be released during the tribulation period. But that's a whole nother subject. So you have the original fall with Satan. You have the original fall of Lucifer and all the angels. And in human history, we don't really know, according to biblical history, because it doesn't detail all the events of the war in heaven. You get pictures and glimpses of it throughout the Bible. But you see here in Genesis 6, there was a second group of angels that fell. Right? And now I'm getting ready to show you a third group of angels that fell, and what their punishment was. So this comes from Psalms 82, and this is one of the scriptures that is used for the counsel of God, and this is just one example where God is meeting with the other sons of God, and they're discussing certain things, like the king of Ahab, if you guys remember that scripture, where he's talking with them about what to do about that situation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. So Psalms 82. God presides in the great assembly. He renders judgment among the gods. How long will you defend the unjust and show partiality to the wicked? Defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. The gods know nothing. They understand nothing. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, ye are gods, you are sons of the Most High, but you will die like mortals. You will fall like every other ruler. Rise up, O God, judge the earth, for all the nations are your inheritance. Okay, so here, God is presiding in this assembly, and he's rendering judgment against these angels who were supposed to be there for human beings. In this particular scene here, God is asking them these questions about, allowing all these things to happen. And honestly, I believe that, a lot of these gods that he's talking about here, I think a lot of these are the Egyptian, Babylonian gods. But in this, and this is why there's a lot of movies like on these, supernatural beings, the gods. And so when you read this is going to connect that. So it says here, I said you are gods, you are the sons of the Most High, but you will die like mere mortals, and you will fall like every other ruler. So from what I see, it actually looks like God has made a judgment that these particular group of gods, sons of gods, were punished to die like mortals. So it doesn't say how many there is. I know in Genesis 6 with the book of Enoch, it talks about those 200 angels that fell with the women. But see, this is a completely different situation where these sons of God were supposed to be helping mankind. And it says here they walk about in darkness. So they think they know things, but they really don't. And that's why we may get these legends of these supernatural beings separate from the Nephilim, right? And they were judged to die like men, and the fall like any other king. There's a lot of mythology surrounding a lot of supernatural beings on earth, whether they were fighting against each other, whatever the case. There may have been a point in time where these angels were judged to live on earth like a human being and die like a man. So I just wanted to point that out. These are just some of the things that interest me, and I would like to know your comments and your thoughts. Now, you got to remember, folks, for a long time, I've been learning different things about the Bible, and I'm learning, translation is one of the most important things when you want to get down and learn the truth of what words really say, because, there's over 100 different English versions. And so you actually have to study the Greek, you got to study the Hebrew and get meanings and study those people who talk about those particular subjects from a Hebrew or Greek perspective, like Dr. Michael Heiser. So he's really good at breaking some of these stories down about the divine council, about the meaning of the sons of gods, and our position here on earth. And so I just found this interesting because there was more than one group of angels that fell. And these are just some examples. And so what came to me was there's a war in heaven. And for whatever reason, these angels think that they still can defeat God and they will still continue to fall. Now, the angels in Genesis 6, from what I understand, it was a little bit different situation. They fell into lust in the situation and then became enemies of God. This situation, these angels here in Psalms 82, obviously did not execute their orders from God the Father, and they left the human race in a bad state. And so their punishment was to die like mortal men. So what happened to those angels? Who are those figures in mythology or other ancient religions, so to speak? So I just want to kind of broaden your thinking and about this whole situation, about the war in heaven and about the fall of, just angels in general. And angels still could be falling today. And there are some people that have referenced other instances in the Bible, but I'm not ready to bring those up yet because I haven't made that connection for myself to share with everybody else. But when I do, I'll do an update video. I hope you guys have learned something and kind of make you guys dig in and do some more research and look at this and really look at this from a universal perspective of what's really happening in the Bible and how it relates to us and what's happening in our earth now and actually happening out there with the war in heaven. Also, too, I just want to point out I am going to make a connection to something similar like these falls, but I'm also going to kind of make a connection to Mars. And it's going to be very interesting. So just keep an open mind, and it's going to lead you into some things that you've never seen in the Bible before. So anyways, folks, I thank you for listening. God bless. And with that being said, Twisted Christian out.